The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, okay. It's been one of those days. It's been one of those days. I'm over here reaching for stuff. Okay, I'm live. I'm live. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, all of my beloved Thai squad. Thank y'all for showing up. Y'all were here before I was even here. Meet the Whitakers, Ray Love, Ed Berry, Dr. Holt. Thank y'all for tuning in. Listen, if you ever watched the show for Tyesse, you need to watch this show today, okay? Because it's really serious. It's really serious. I want to first of all thank you guys for tuning in and thank y'all for sharing and getting the word out that Tyesse Jackson is live and on the air. And what an important topic today is self-care in a chaotic world. And the world we live in right now is just pure D chaos. How do you take time for yourself when the world does not stop for nobody? Okay, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So, hey, Letitia, all of my moms, Serena, TK, Vivian Green, Stanley Walton. Thank y'all for tuning in. Okay, happy hump day, everybody. Remember, every Wednesday we're here with Get Your Health On, where we talk about things that are important to our mind, our body, and our spirits. And we have a special guest. I'm going to get to that in a minute. We have a special guest that we're going to be bringing on, someone near and dear to my heart. Hey, Amy Jones. Hey. All right. Hey, Terrence Maloney. Hey, everybody. Before we start, we want to go ahead and get started with health. What's trending in health news right now, y'all? And what's trending right now in health news is monkeypox. Uncle Joe said, to be vigilant, but it was nothing to really. Uncle Joe, this monkeypox is spreading like wildfire. Now, should we be concerned now, Uncle Joe? Because it's found in about 14 states right now, Uncle Joe. So we're going to continue to keep our eyes on this monkeypox, everybody. Just be vigilant. What can you do when you're already dealing with COVID-19 and you're dealing with a new situation? So all you can do is do what you've been doing, washing your hands, social distancing, wearing your mask, and also just keeping your eyes on the prize. Okay, that's what we can do. But let's keep mindful, you guys, that monkeypox is something that we need to be in our peripheral and our radars. Okay. So without further ado, I want to bring on someone I've known for at least 25 years, a dear sister of mine. She is the director and founder of the Holistic Empowerment Institute. She's a behavioral therapist. She's a multi-hyphenate. The list just goes on and on and on and on. And I had to bring her on today because this is a topic that me and her talk about quite a bit. So I want to welcome, for the first time on Get Your Health On, my sister, Reverend Valerie Spencer. Come on in, Val.
I'm here. Am I here? Hi.
Hey. Okay, so I was going to...
Hi, Thai
I was going to Val. I was going to do a clip of Alicia Garza, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. It may be some licensing, it may be some copyright issues, because I wanted to talk about radical self-care, and I said, you know what? Scrap the clip. I have a sister that is a reverend. Why not just bring why not just bring Reverend Valerie Spencer on, and we can talk about this stuff, because we talk about this all the time in our private conversations, and this is a great time to have you on right now, because self-care, I think a lot of girls got self-care confused with pedicures and manicures and aromatherapy and burning candles and stuff. All of that is great. But I think that you really have to be able to just be somewhere and be present and centered with who you are and what you want, what your desires are. You have to be able to be present in your body. And so many times we're just not there. So I'm going to give the floor to you, Valerie, and whatever you feel led to talk about, let's talk about it. Self-care in a chaotic world.
So first things first, hi everybody. Normally I'm on the other side of the screen, typing, agreeing, and it's so good to be with y'all this afternoon. It really, really is. You know, sis, those things that you mentioned may seem petty, right? Manicures, pedicures, facials, all those things. But they really are a critical part of self-care if you have intentionally made those a part of your self-care process. If it's just something that you're doing, if it's something that you're doing to be cute, to pull a piece, all of those things, you know, we all have our hook and lures that we do in order to navigate the culture. But those things can be very useful, but it begins first, sis, with an intention that these things I am doing because I need to be nurtured. I need to be nurtured. I live a very stressful life. You know, I'm a caregiver. And so I found that a couple of things that are very easy to do help me quite a bit. For one, that's to the point of coming back into your body, right? Breathe and give yourself a generous breath. What does that do? Well, breathing opens up that synaptic firings in the brain, right? It helps oxygenate the brain and helps oxygenate the body. The same with the sound Om. That Om opens up the synaptic firings in the brain. It helps to calm the nervous system. It pulls you together. So there's some major things and some minor things that we can do for self-care. Facials is one of them. One of the things that we don't quite like or not quite yet fully comfortable with as people of color, both gay, queer, and straight, is the idea of two things: going to therapy. I think a therapeutic process is useful. Tomorrow at 1:00, okay, I'll be there, be square. This is my therapy space where I both attend therapy and conduct therapy, right? And so therapy is, just to be clear, therapy does not replace your faith practice. Therapy enhances your faith practice. Therapy doesn't compete with your life and the normatives in your life. Therapy helps to complement your life and the normatives.
Amen.
And good therapy takes things that are in your blind spot over here and moves them into your face so you can look at them and then make some choices.
Yeah. So caregiving is something that no one really talks about in depth. We know that it's going on all across America. We have people taking care of aging parents. We have people taking care of disabled children. It is something that happens every single day, and there's just not a lot of conversation around caregiving. I took care of my mother briefly on a 24-hour care basis before she transitioned. And it was really one of the hardest, most stressful things that I have ever done, Val, because you don't get a breather. You just don't. You're constantly in care mode, taking care of your loved one. And I wouldn't change it for the world. But I think so oftentimes people feel as though when you take on the responsibility, that there's a lot of people that feel like, I'm going to get some reward later on. I think we have to be clear, Val. I think we have to be clear with intention, as you said, and also the fact that you don't have to beat yourself up and you don't have to wait for a reward later down the road. You can also be clear and speak your mind and say what you need and what you don't need, what you can do and what you can't do. Because so oftentimes people bottle all of that up because they feel like they're going to get a reward later and woe is me. And in fact, in that silence, you are complicit with the killing of your spirit and your soul, because every day it just chips a little bit away at you every day until some people, they blow up. They lose it.
Caregivers have to put themselves on the page. Caregivers, so just so you all know, bam, 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 bam. Lulu, give
Miss Lulu.
Say hi. So that's mine. That's mine. Right. I'm not just talking the talk. This my walk the walk. I had to put myself on the page, right? And most people, when you say things like such and such related to caregiving is affecting me, their first response is, so what? That's your mother. Well, I know where I come from. And I would never mistreat my mother. She's my heartbeat, right? She's my breath. I would never mistreat her. But hello, I'm hurt. So what? That's your mother. So what? Well, how does this affect your mother? Well, how does this affect her? Well, so what? You just have to get it. So what? And so you take on that as well, because that's your thought too. We've been raised that way to think I'm supposed to go all out. I'm supposed to put myself last as long as, and I earned 2 degrees riding on that steam. And that was hard. I earned my bachelor's and my master's caring for my mom and putting myself last. But when COVID came, well, actually before COVID, I went on paid family leave due to stress. When COVID came, I realized that I was doing everything dead ass wrong. That I need to put caregiving in her place, and I need to put me at the very top of that, number one, and be intentional and matter of fact about that, because and I'm an only child too, if I break down, this whole machine breaks down. There's no Tyler Perry at 2:00 in the morning if I break down. None of that happens. So I have to keep going. Plus, this is my lifespan too. I deserve to be happy too. I don't mind making sacrifices, but the sacrifices don't come with me being stressed out and traumatized and all those things. Now, unfortunately for me, those things have already taken place, but I'm gonna hook y'all up.
Yeah. And when you say COVID-19 was a beast. It was a beast. It brought me to a place of anxiety. And now I'm realizing, looking at, my behavioral patterns at that time, that I was basically, what is it called, Valerie, when you're afraid to go out of your house due to the fact that I was agoraphobic. There's no doubt about it. All of the symptoms were there. I was literally afraid to go out of my house because I was having anxiety and panic attacks, right? But I was afraid to go out of my house because I didn't want to have an anxiety or panic attack in public. And that is telltale agoraphobia. So when you're in your house and you're just by yourself and you're not dealing with a lot of the emotions you're going through, and at that time, losing my best friend, and you've lost your best friend, so it is something. It's a grief. It's not like losing a relative. It is totally different because she was my best friend, and I thought we were going to grow old together. Mm-hmm. And there's this thing that comes along, Valerie. I don't know if you experienced this, where you just don't feel like you should be happy, or you don't want pleasure, or you don't want to be happy. You don't want self-care. You don't want to do anything for yourself. I just want to sit here and just look out the window, look at the wall. But it's important for all of us that are going through bereavement.
Hold up. That's called something. That's called something. sister. That's called lack of motivation. That's called isolation. That's called
Yes.
hypervigilance. And if you put those together with a couple of pieces in place, you might be able to put your old diagnosis of major depressive disorder. Right? That's called depression. And
Yeah.
and often, anxiety don't like to go nowhere by themselves. And neither does depression don't like to go nowhere by herself either. They go hand in hand.
Oh, I'm
Right?
learning. I'm learning.
And so some of what you're talking about are prime examples of depression.
And
Diagnosed.
in the Instagram and Facebook age, I think we are so isolated from human touch,
Mhm.
people, that we don't realize how inactive we are with just communication and talking to people face to face, human touch, hugs. And you look around and you be like, I haven't really had a hug or sit down at a table and talk to somebody in months, some people years,
Mhm.
months, because you feel that this virtual space is actually a form of realistic conversation and communication. And although it has its purposes, it also can be very limiting as well.
Listen, Instagram, show enough Grinder, and I want to say something specifically about Grinder, but Instagram, scrolling, Zoom, it's good, but it does not replace humanity. It does not replace human touch. These are conveniences that we use to, I met a young man in when I was doing active therapy. I don't really do much clinical work now, but his main problem for coming to therapy was I don't know how to do interaction. Right? I don't know how to do good morning, good afternoon. How are you? If I see a guy and I'm attracted to the guy, I don't know how to say hello, how are you? But if I had his number, I would text him. Or can you go get his Instagram handle so I can DM him? We don't know how to do human interaction with the onslaught, and I do say onslaught consciously, with the onslaught of the technological age. We've lost our ability to humanly connect. Now we have COVID that says we cannot. Right, we cannot. And some of us are rebelling against it. I know you and I are this kind of the same. My doctor called me and said, you do not have COVID. You have an extreme respiratory infection. It's going to be nasty. And you need to first stop bleaching everything, including your groceries. Because, baby, everything up in here was Clorox, right? Stop bleaching. I had a rash on my hand that I was bleaching things so much. And stop. We all have had our COVID fear, right? Here's how I deal with my COVID fear. I stay in, that's one. I have a whole virtual life. I have family from all across the country, and we stay connected via Discord. Back in the day, it was House Party, and that's how we got through. But also be mindful. For those of you who are vaccinated and boosted, especially double boosted, and now Moderna say they got another something coming on down the road, we are filled with the planets, all of the planets, up-to-date technology with regard to COVID. We have done all that we can do in terms of vaccination. We have it. I still think there's a place for masking. I know people are resistant to it, but I suggest that you build a masking personality. When I'm outdoor, I'm not masking, but it's on my ear. So that when I walk in, I'm just getting ready to it's just my new handshake. And for me, that brings me a great deal of comfort. The other thing was something that you said to me, which was get out of your house, it will swallow you up. Get out of your house, it will swallow you up. And so I went to my temple where I contemplate life, which is Malibu. And Spirit said to me, you're already swallowed. Mm.
Woo! Wow.
Oh, I want you to unswallow yourself. I want you to come out of the mouth of that. You're already swallowed. I don't know how to be with, I fake it. I fake it as best as I can, but I don't know how to be comfortable next to a human body anymore. I just, I try, and I've committed to changing that. because I'm not gonna die up here in Pomona in this house. Now, no.
No, I'll come get you. I'll come get you first, man.
Please, I don't even have a piece of Gucci yet. I cannot die in this house by myself. But I've set an intention. I have.
Yeah, and it's so important what you're saying, because you turned me on to the website Day Use, and I'm so glad that you're able to be vulnerable and share that. I know your personal journey, but I'm so glad that you're being vulnerable, because so many people in the comments are saying, I needed this. I needed this.
Oh, really?
There's so many caregivers. There's so many caregivers in the comments today, Val. So you are giving them voice where they don't even feel like they didn't even know how to articulate it. So I'm glad that you're being.
Not everybody has an aging parent or children. Some of us have been caregiving ourselves.
Yeah.
And we have been pulling around undiagnosed diagnosis. We've been pulling around issues. We've been pulling around people and their toxic consciousness about us, right? Their narratives about us. We've been pulling around all this, and we've been tending to all of that, caring for it, positioning ourselves. I believe that we've been through too much to be fake with each other. And I believe that we've been through too much to be fake with ourselves. From the mouth of Reverend Valerie, if there's someone that you need to tell, listen, you're going to have to just kiss my ass. This is the season to get yourself ready. We will pray for you and ask for forgiveness. But this is the season to express yourself and to free yourself from all of that. Some of us are walking around trying to project like we were a designer and we're broke, we're struggling. Some of us are living in our car. Right? A lot of us are living in our car. It's time for us to just be honest with ourselves and the world. We've been carrying and walking around with too much. And we haven't even touched on racism or sexism, but that grinder deserves special mention. As a therapist, I am open and vocal that I am against grinder. You're talking about a people, gay men, who already have issues with building intimacy, no issues with building sextimacy, but building intimacy, already have issues. And then you have an app on your phone that shows you green dots where you can just walk in and somebody has a mouth open, somebody's bent over a couch, and I'm talking about literally. And here's the other toxic piece too, sis. If you have issues with your sobriety, if you have Grindr on your phone, you will relapse.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody there offering you free dope. Free dope. Free dope. Grindr is toxic. We need people. We need each other. We need each other. Mm-hmm.
And I saw Amber Soprano says, baby, sometimes I say to myself, how am I helping my clients, and I need help myself? I heard Iyanla talk about the wounded healer. Most people that are wounded are healers, are out here doing the work. Mm-hmm. But who do the healer go to when they need mending, when they need replenishing or whatnot? And it's very important, you guys, to ask and say what you feel and what you need at that time. Because a lot of us go around and say, I don't want to bother nobody. I don't want to. If you have a friend or someone trusted or confidant, not just anybody, I think it's so important, like me and Val can hit each other up and say, this is how I'm feeling right now.
Pray for me, sis. I'm falling apart. That's been my text.
This is, I just listen. I need a moment to just talk, vent, whatever. It's so important. Isolating yourself, which I did during COVID-19, I would only come out and do the Tyesse report, and people didn't know I was in the process of losing my mind. And then I'll go right back to my bedroom and lay down, or go right back to wherever in the house. But it is so important that you don't isolate yourself. Self-care is also understanding who you are and what your desires, your wants, your needs, and being able to effectively communicate to people your desires and your wants and your needs as well. And sometimes you don't have the language for it. You really don't. but it's so important, like Val said, in this day and age, toxic relationships, business partnerships, baby, kiss them to the wind and be gone and be through with it. Because in this stage of my life, at 46 years of life, I have no time. As Janet Hubris said, if you wanted me to kiss your ass, you should have put it in the contract.
Right.
Period.
And can I just say something to that as well?
Okay.
What you're talking about is I developed what I call a mental health and spiritual practice plan through my organization, Holistic Empowerment Institute. And it's going to be available for free download pretty soon, within the next week or so, on beholistic.org. And I developed a practice plan that includes 8 emphasis areas. One of the emphasis areas is just what you're talking about, awareness. Become fully present with those things that are in your life that you don't want to see, right? Write them down. Be present with them. Do you know your A1C? Do you know your HIV diagnosis? Do you know your blood pressure numbers? Do you know your DSM diagnosis? Do you know some of us think we're bipolar. We've never been diagnosed with bipolar.
Exactly.
Let's be aware on those things. And the other thing that I want to talk about as well, and I'm going to be a little vulnerable. I know I'm safe because I'm in the Thai squad. But we have to get, as we emerge from COVID or either go back into it, we have to be compassionate toward each other, especially because many of us have developed some addictions while we've been isolated to cope, right? Be they shopping, spending, or substance using. I have as well. I have to cope too. And so I have to take a deep breath and be present with my own addictions, especially since I'm a minister and a therapist. I can't be right. And to the question of who heals the healers, many a time, I have been sitting in session listening to my own testimony.
Yeah.
I have. I was sitting before someone who's older woman like myself, whose life was pretty identical. And I knew this is not your spot. This is not your spot. Because she about to cry and I'm crying with her. I'm not being compassionate. So I have been guilty in the past of bringing myself into therapy. Listen, I have cameras all around this house and I do leave my house, right? I have to go to the office sometimes, whatever. I have been in session, sis, checking cameras to see if my mother's okay while I am in session. I had to stop that. That's not good for my clients. That's toxic for me, right? It's hard, but I've had to catch myself doing things. But before I take up all the show, I just want Ty Squad, do me a favor right quick. Take your hand. Get your hand. I believe this center point of your hand to be a very powerful instrument. And just tap into the sacred core, right? I call this the sacred core. Do this on a regular basis for the purpose of being with yourself. Sometimes you need a diagnosis, but sometimes you just need to listen because some stuff is talking and you're not listening. You're shopping, you're having trade, you're watching TV, you're watching Bad Boys, you're doing a lot of stuff, but you're not just. If you can't get to therapy, you can get to you. If you can't get to therapy, you can get to you. And you, the whole you, the big you, will lead you straight to therapy. I believe that.
Wow. Woo. Well, we are out of time, Valerie. We definitely got to do a part 2. I promise you we got to do a part 2. Self-care, self-love, we're going to do it all. Okay. You can follow my sister, Valerie Spencer, right here on YouTube. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, Reverend Valerie Spencer. Also, go over to the Holistic Empowerment Institute Facebook page and check her out.
YouTube, yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, and some big things are coming. So be sure to check her out when she does her official launch. Thank you, Valerie. I love you, sister. And thank you for coming on.
Ty Squad. I love you, Ty Squad.
Thank you
Now,
for coming on last minute.
Wait. I know we out of time. Wait, I said it privately. I'm going to say it publicly. This is your instrument. This is it. This is your celebrity. This is your $1 million house on the hill next to Ross Matthews. This is it. Don't let this go. Don't let this go. And I'm not gonna say what you don't want me to say.
All right. I love you. I love you. See you soon, sis.
I love you. Bye, everybody. Lulu, say bye-bye.
Bye, Lulu. Love you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Val.
Bye-bye.
Okay. You can bring me full screen, Kwame. Okay. Listen, we're over. Thank you, Kwame, for giving us these few extra seconds. I'm not gonna do In the Spirit because we're out of time. But if you have that graphic, Kwame, I'm gonna read that as my outro. If you have that graphic, it's a quote that I had. Let me see if it's there. There we go. So this is what I'm gonna leave with In the Spirit today. And it says, it's self-full to be first, to be as good as possible to you, to take care of you, keep you whole and healthy. That doesn't mean you disregard everything and everyone, but you want to come with your cup full. You know, my cup runneth over. What comes out of the cup is for y'all. What's in the cup is mine, but I've got to keep my cup full. Iyanla Vanzant. I love you guys. Remember, stay in peace, not in pieces. I'll see you this evening. Bye. Mwah.
Hey Ty Squad, Pyro fam, and newcomers. We hope you enjoyed the show. This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet in Flight Radio Station, the #1 progressive Christian radio station in the world. An inclusive, progressive Christian network for all believers. Your story, our station. Pyro Media Network. Pyro Media Network is a proactive network focused on providing an innovative space for content creators and entrepreneurs. PMN is dedicated to giving its viewers a diverse internet experience while helping content creators elevate their production, engagement, and overall branding. Pyro Media Network is the network that makes you feel at home. Let's go to the next level. Don't forget to follow Tyesse on Instagram at _Tyesse_report. And also follow on Facebook at facebook.com/the official Tyesse Report. And don't forget to subscribe to the official Tyesse Report YouTube page. Alright y'all, Mother Tyesse couldn't do what they do without the support of Ty Squad members like you. To become a Ty Squad member, show your support by sending a love offering to Cash App at $Tyesse76, or you can send it through Zelle at Tyesse76@yahoo.com, or Venmo, Tyesse76, or PayPal at the Tyesse Report. Alright everyone, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next.